Okay. Patch 0.1.6. Releasing tomorrow. Ranking/rating changes. We have updated the way rating is calculated to be based on wins for the run rather than PvP combat results. We have reset all current ratings and ranks back to bronze. Oh my god. All the way back to bronze. So yeah, this removes the concede cheese. It is no longer optimal to concede runs where you're doing poorly. That was pretty lame, I think. You're not as pressured to try to win every single day. It was sort of weird that part of the game doesn't punish you at all for early losses because you're just losing one prestige, and sure, you have to win later, but it's not like your win was any less successful as far as how your chests go or what displays on the end screen. But if you're trying to climb ranks and you're in the top like 200-300, doing anything worse than 10-2 was going to lose you MMR. It was a very silly system. General changes. Fixed an issue with RIT, sometimes offering out-of-order options. There's a few events that are like this. I don't know if they just fixed... This is just the Genie one, right? Did they just fix the one? Because BazaarCon also shows up in a random order. And that one comes up just about every run. Could we at least fix that one? Level up loot rewards now spawn directly in the player's board or stash. Didn't they do that already? How was that different? Oh, wait, no, they didn't. They didn't. They used to. They don't anymore. Okay. Updated the drop rate tables. Primary impact is that bronze items phase out sooner. Higher tier items start spawning sooner. Oh, I've been asking for this literally since November. That's cool. So theoretically, shops on, like, hopefully day 2 and day 3 don't feel quite as bad. I think a lot of bronze items also got buffed, so it's not as big of a deal to be buying stuff at bronze, but just, like, being able to find those build-around gold items a bit earlier in the run before you, like, pass your commit point for the comp is going to be nice. Minigames other scaling updated. In general, bronze tier numbers have been improved. Fixed an issue where some level up rewards would provide XP. Okay, so no more of this nonsense where you're clicking on loot items instead of gold because it gets plus 1 XP. Huh. I'm trying to think if this changes anything. At the very least, this will make it harder to be ahead on levels. It does make XP slightly worse when XP isn't giving you more XP. Because on an average run, you're getting, like, 2-3 levels from this. By the time you're level 16, you've gotten over a level worth of XP just from your level up rewards. I will say I did like when the default for a day was a little bit more than 8 XP. It did feel weird that XP just didn't matter until you accumulated 8 more of it. There was no, like, passive gain per day unless you were taking hard fights or going out of your way to buy XP. I don't know how much that actually matters, though. For what, 3 for sure? Non-XPs? Like level 1.5? Yeah. You don't always pick the level ups. I'll pretty commonly pick the bronze skill over bronze level if I don't have a significant level upgrade, just so that I get the XP. But yeah. Fixed an issue where Pearl's dig site still counted as a merchant for certain interactions. Okay. Enchantment altar level ups now offers 1 enchantment altar and the artist instead of 3 enchantment altars. Okay, so one thing that was pointed out to us during the previous game is this means that you see the artist more, which means if you have an Insect Wing in your inventory, Insect Wing only gets 2 enchants. Let me bring this over. It only gets 2 enchants, and one of them is Turbo, which can give Turbo to one of your items. So either you 50-50 into Shiny to double the Insect Wing, or you 50-50 into Turbo and get the haste enchant that almost every build is hoping to get at its level 10 enchant. Kind of a big deal to just keep this around. It wouldn't be as crazy if Turbo wasn't such a high roll. Like, oftentimes with the right board, Turbo is doubling the strength of your entire board, because it just perma-hastes your whole board. But, like, especially for Dually, just having more consistent access, at least I think it's more consistent access to Turbo. It might end up being less overall, because you were only getting to pick between, like, you're getting a 50-50 instead of pick between 3, but at the very least, it's not that much harder to get the Turbo, if you know about the Insect Wing tech. Not sure what other things you can exploit with this. I know there's a couple other items that just have a couple of enchants, like a Swashbuckle. This one only has... It's not enchanted. It gets Shiny, it gets Deadly, and it gets Radiant. I believe Cinders is similar to Insect Wing, and then it gets Fiery and Shiny. Except you can only enchant things that already have Burn with Fiery here. What is the artist? It's the get a random enchant. Hey, Yuzukion, thanks for the sub. So, like, this could get you Fiery on, like, your Matchbox, if you want a Fiery Matchbox or something. But you can't get, like, Fiery Lemonade Stand in the same way that you can get, like, a Turbo Core with Insect Wing. The arrow visual effect that Arbalest, Ballista, Longbow, and Runic Doublebow used has been updated. Okay. Mind you, it'll feel real bad when you roll Shiny on your Cinders. I mean, you're still doubling your Cinders. Will it feel that bad? Like, what is an average random enchant? I feel like half the time you random enchant, you're bricking something. But, like, if you're trying to upgrade Cinders to give Fiery to a burn item, you're probably not that upset getting Shiny on it. There is a patch note down here to where maybe random enchants are going to end up being good enough that it doesn't matter as much. They're able to try to force these enchants on loot items. Like, maybe these enchants that are commonly just low rolls end up not being low rolls anymore. But we'll have to see. I don't think we have the numbers on any of these yet. Implemented caps on certain item attributes to prevent integer overflow. Sure. Wonder what that cap is. Most freeze effects now target items of equal or smaller size. This is one way to handle it. I don't know that this is the most relevant way of handling it. Like, does this make running into an Icy Core feel any better? Most boards don't have a large item on them that they care about. I feel like if you want to tone down freeze, there's other knobs you can turn. Like, does Icy Core really need to freeze for 3 whole seconds? Some of these are just crazy strong. Or, like, maybe limit them to a number of freezes per combat. I just feel like this doesn't do a whole lot on the items that want to have these enchants. And the frustrating part is just, like, getting permafroze out by... What are the big offenders? Like, Icy Cloak, Icy Core, Icy Charge items in general. If you have a large item, you have less other items. Being permafroze by a medium is lame. Sure. I just feel like there's other solutions to this that make more sense with freeze. What is the fastest large item? Lighthouse? First one that comes to mind? Flagship? Permafrost in general is lame. I think it's fine if you're working hard for it. Like, the Pig Snow Globe comp is pretty cool. It just gets lame when I'm already playing this board that is trying to make the core go as fast as possible, and I spike an Icy Enchant, and all of a sudden my board is perma-freezing you because I spiked an Icy Enchant. Or, like, I'm playing Pulse Rifle, I got random enchant on my cloak, got Icy, and now your board is perma-frozen. Those are the ones where it feels bad. It's like they didn't even work for it, they just happened to luck into a high roll. Really negative on freeze solutions that require a lot of additional text. I mean, is it a lot of additional text to just say, like, the first X times? This is the same amount of extra text, no? Like, I agree simple solutions are better, but I don't think the other solutions are more complicated. So nerf to some of those freeze skills that always mess with you. So we're down for the freeze build you have to commit for, but the proc builds, the perma lockdown, are trash. Well, the freeze skills... Most of those freeze skills have already been nerfed. Typically, the freeze skills that were strong were just the one-shot freeze skills, too. I think enchants are the big thing people complain about. And it's really just a few specific enchants on things that either get a bunch of charge or things that trigger off of other things. Like, I don't even mind Icy Katana that much. No, patch isn't live yet. Probably like 12 hours. Anyway, I'm not a huge complainer about freeze, but I do think that some of the numbers are a bit overtuned on some of the enchants, especially on the fast items. We're continuing to improve the implementation of enchantments on many items. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna have to see what these numbers look like. We're gonna be looking up every item before we enchant it on How Bizarre for the next couple of days. Arbalist. Fixed an issue where this does not count as an ammo item for some effects. Interesting. Does more damage at every tier other than Diamond. Does more damage at Diamond too. 60, 80, 100. It still needs ammo. So it scales twice as much as Shark Ray. You still have to ammo it. 60 at silver seems insane. Oh. What is 60 at silver? So if you haste twice, it does 220 damage as a silver item. So just like Rocket Boots plus Arbalist. That's not that crazy. Unless you can reload it. That is pretty good. Is it an 8-second cooldown? Eight-second cooldown. Yeah, I mean, obviously crazy when you have it with Haste Potion. That is going to be Haste Potion and this wanting to be reloaded. Maybe you can do Ramrod? You're getting crit chance too. There could be some builds here. Could be some builds here. That is really aggressive scaling at silver. Beach Ball. Gained the toy type. Can now haste toys in addition to aquatics. Okay. Barrel. Cooldown 5 seconds. Okay. So straight up getting a 25% nerf. Shield 20 from 10. So its base shield goes up. That's whatever. Whenever you use an adjacent non-weapon item. This gains 10, 15, 20, 25 shield for the fights. So it's not whenever you use a non-item anywhere on your board, it is just adjacents now. So it's going to be harder to scale this with a pufferfish. Because usually the puffer wants to be next to things that trigger for it. Like jellyfish is always one of the slots it wants to be next to. guess it could be the other until you get like a turbo figurehead going. It does scale more per activation, but it's going to be fewer things activating. Oh, it doesn't buff itself anymore. That's pretty big, yeah. Huh. So one thing that we'll notice as we go through these patch notes is they did nerf a bunch of the defensive items that were really oppressive, but they also buffed the things that the defensive items were keeping down. So while this alone doesn't look like the most backbreaking nerf, it is pretty big. It's also the things that it counters got a lot better too. Ballista. Deal 150, 200 damage from 100, 200. Oh, it's just better at gold now. Sure. I don't know. I guess a big problem with Ballista is it's just kind of not what the ammo comp wants to be doing most of the time. If you're playing ammo, you're usually trying to kill the opponent fast, and Ballista not doing anything until 10 seconds into the fight. Usually just not where you want to be. You'd rather use those 3 spaces on items that help get your opponent dead faster. Because you're almost always playing just to race with no defense on your board. Bayonets. When you use the weapon to the left of this, deal 10, 15, 20, 25 damage. Sure. I don't know how much of the numbers on this really matter. A lot of the time you're playing it, it's because you're buffing it with a figurehead or something. Slightly better on, like, day 1, day 2. The gold and diamond numbers are almost completely irrelevant. You're never getting it that high. Like, if it's on your board, it's on your board because it has, like, 200 or 300 damage on it from augmented weaponry plus figurehead, or it's getting buffed by something else. An extra 15 damage on the base. Not a reason why you'd be playing it. But slightly better early is kind of nice. Bolas, 40, 60, 80, 100. This is what it used to be, right? I remember Bolas being very good at one point in the beta. So now Bolas alone does 80 damage with no ammo reload at bronze. That's port patch numbers. Okay. Huh. Cannon also gets buffed. Cannonade gets buffed. Wait. Is Cannonade not a silver item anymore? Oh, it already wasn't a silver item. Why do I think this was available at silver? I guess that's why I never see it. Wasn't the charge patch? That might be why. That might be why. I just haven't played it since then. Captain's Wheel. No longer counts dash items for the goal introduction. This is fair. This is fair. It was probably... It was one of the best haste items. It felt weirdly fair at 2 seconds, but... Maybe that's just me. It was a nice item to have in Vanessa's toolkit. Just fewer boards can take advantage of it now, which I guess is reasonable. It'll still be good on the boards that are playing large items that need haste. Concealed Dagger. Is this the one that gives gold? Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I did not know this was a Vanessa item. I thought you could only get this from PvE fights. I don't think I've ever bought a Concealed Dagger from the shop. I don't know, it does a bit more damage now. Not a terrible amount of damage. If you see it on, like, day 2 at a shop, it could be worth the small slot. Pays for itself pretty quickly. Like, it's not griefing your board to play it anymore. Coral, just flat heal 20. Wait. That's kind of nice. Most corals that I play, I'm just picking up, not for the scaling, but just because it's some aquatic item to throw on my board that has a fast cooldown. Just always getting 20 heal every 4 seconds, kind of a big deal. That's like 5 regen. It's a solid day 1 item, taking up a small slot. Vanessa needs more of this, just like solid day 1 items to fill the board out. That's part of what makes Dually so good this patch. It's just all of his things are playable because they all at least speed up the core. They all do something. Where you would commonly play a Coral that had heal 6 on your day 1 Vanessa board just because it was better than having empty space on the board. Coral Armor. Gained the apparel type. Shield 40. Sure. Again, at least it does something without having to scale it. Just more things that are playable when you buy them from the shop at Bronze. Pretty important for day 1, day 2 power. Is it good? No, still very unexciting, but it's a solid filler item now. Cutlass got buffed. Sure. I guess the early game wasn't exactly Cutlass's strength. Makes it a bit better to just have it. Weirdly, Cutlass was already one of Vanessa's better starting items. Just because it did something. Had a direction that it encouraged you to go in. I don't know, not a huge deal. Disguise gains the apparel type. Double Barrel got buffed? We're buffing early Double Barrel. Buffing early Double Barrel. And then the high tiers fall off a little bit, but I don't know, a lot of the time by the time you're getting this to Gold and Diamond, you're getting your damage from other sources anyway. Like, it just means you're going to prioritize other upgrades on the board, right? Rather than pushing this to Gold for plus 25 damage, you upgrade, like... I guess I don't know what other upgrade targets the ammo board has, necessarily, but... Or it only stays Bronze. You can push it to Silver. 100 damage in activation. Plus 25 going from Bronze to Silver is pretty big. Like, it's bigger than the current difference between Bronze and Silver. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you already need a good source of red damage scaling for Double Barrel to be good later game anyway. But this does make the early game Double Barrel starts a lot better. Like, if you start with Silver Double Barrel, you're doing 200 damage. Assuming your opponent levels, you just need to find 100 more damage. Like, does Double Barrel plus Cannon kill now? This is 40 and... How much burn is Cannon? Is it just 3? It is just 3. So not quite. Double Barrel plus Bolus also short. But Double Barrel, Bolus, and like anything else gets there in 8 seconds. Now, it'll fold the shield, but it's at least a lot easier to add up to 300 than it was before. Where that was a pretty common problem with the Double Barrel builds on day 1, day 2 for Vanessa, where if you didn't find an ammo reload item, you just commonly wouldn't have enough damage to end the fight. Flagship does double damage at silver and just scales up the damage slightly faster. Yeah, I don't know. This is another one where, like, yeah, this difference is big, but even with this, I felt like I still wasn't often pushing it to diamond. Or if I was, it was just because I had nothing better to use my upgrades on. Feels like almost all of your flagship damage late game is coming from other sources. It's not even a nerf, but just now you're a lot happier to leave it at silver if that's what you end up doing. What does this board need to upgrade? Crow's Nest, I guess. Get you your crit. Silencer, probably a more important upgrade than Flagship, even before. CDR, just so important for this comp. Mind Flask early, it's insane pressure. Yeah. Double Barrel is... Early Double Barrel is probably very good. It was already one of Vanessa's better starts, even though it kind of needed the high roll to get there. But the ceiling on it was pretty crazy. Now the ceiling's just even higher. And the things that were good into it, like Barrel, got worse. I guess the other thing about these buffs, it's not just that they got buffed, it's the things that were good against them tended to get nerfed. Grappling Hook starts at bronze, does some damage, sure. So it seems like this scaling is fairly consistently what they want. Things getting about 50% better per level. Well, I guess this one's doubling. This one's doubling. I guess I don't know. It's not the most consistent. I'm looking at the wrong numbers. Yeah, 50% better. 50% better. Well, that's just plus 20 every time. That's just plus 20 every time. It's what, 25% better? Yeah, yeah, just more of a difference at the earlier upgrades than, like, the gold to diamond upgrade. At least for damage items. Grenade. 50, 100. 150, 200. What's the cooldown on grenade? 4 seconds. So it scales worse off of skills than double barrel, but it does hit pretty hard. Again, less relevant to level up. Hand axe. Sure. Okay, the scaling goes up on hand axe. That. +3 per level. It's again, like, by the time you can get this to gold or diamond, it's probably not on your board anymore. But +6 at bronze is pretty big. If you've got 2 shots on your double barrel, plus 24 damage just for having a hand axe in play. Like, the burstier your build is, the less you care that this number doesn't go up over the course of the fight. Like, if anything, the faster your comp is, the more you prefer just having damage the whole fight rather than increasing damage over the fight. Full open board, it's a lot of damage. Yeah, yeah. It's something you can pick up day one that does something, but might stay on your board for a couple days too. Where currently you kind of want to cut hand axe as quick as possible. Hand axe, silver double, left right handed, already breaches 300 damage, day one in 6 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this thing does still just like scale really well off skills. Double barrel plus right-handed as your starting item is... What is that? 280 damage? Wait, is double barrel right-handed 20 damage off of lethal? That's scary. That's gonna be real annoying. Thing to note is Vanessa Braun's items generally suck a ton. Yeah, yeah. They're not as terrible now. And that's sort of the goal, right? Honing Steel. The weapon to the right gains 8, 12, 16, 20 damage for the fight. Up from 5, 10, 15, 20. Huh. Bronze Honing Steel. Quite a bit better than before. Slightly better at silver. Basically the same at gold and diamond. You didn't usually get it this high unless you were really desperate for flat scaling. It was just one of those nice early game holdover items. And it wasn't even very good at that role. Now it's a bit better at that role. Ice Pick does double damage. Sure. Scales twice as much too. Sure. Ice Pick's a cool item. It triggers Shatter. Shatter is a really powerful skill. Whenever you freeze, all your items gain 10 damage. I feel like the big thing keeping this down is more its cooldown, and just a bit more damage on it isn't really what makes it not want to be played, but it is better as a filler item now. Javelin. Almost doubled. Javelin starts with 2 ammo, right? So it's 240 damage in 10 seconds. That's still not the most exciting. It's not terrible. Probably fits in play if you find it day 2, day 3. It's still going to want to come off your board around the same time as old Javelin, but now it's at least not the worst filler item. You're super never want to upgrade this anymore, but it already wasn't something that you wanted to upgrade. Katana very slightly buffed. Yeah. Again, the Katana's one of those items, the damage numbers on it don't mean that much, because so much of its damage is going to be coming from other sources. Like, if you're playing Katana because you're buffing it with stuff. Langshan deals 40 damage. Oh. Does this mean the drone fight is a loss with an empty board now? No, right? It's only plus 45 damage? So you should win with 6 life, I think? Currently, you win with 51, I think. Yeah, you can definitely lose with items again. But I think you still win with empty board, if I'm remembering the fight right. When you win a fight with Langshan in play, this gains... Ooh. Way better at bronze. That's... kind of interesting. So if you get a bronze Langshan from the B fight and you win your day 1 fight, you have an 80 damage weapon instead of a 75 damage weapon. And then you win your next PvE fight, you have a 120 damage weapon. It still kind of sucks. If you get a bonus fight on day 2, you have a 160 damage weapon on a 10-second cooldown. So in comparison with a starting Langshan, which is already not the most exciting thing in the world, after your day 2 fight, you'd have a 150 damage weapon. No, a 200 damage weapon. Starts at 50, gets plus 50 from day 1, plus 50 from the fight 1, plus 50 from the PvE fight. Yeah, you're still not able to build around this when you get it from the Wasp. It is a slight buff to starting Langshan. A very slight buff to starting Langshan. But I don't think this makes Langshan buyable in shops. $200 damage for day 2 PvP weapon as a starting item. Yeah, it's like the same-ish as it was before. It's what, 20 damage better by day 2? 60 at silver, not 50? Yeah. But it starts with 10 less. So after the day 1 PvE fight, it's the same. 2 fights later, you're at plus 20. It's not nothing, but I don't think it changes much. Nesting Doll gained the toy type. Het Rock gained the toy type. Does a bit more damage. If this is your only friend, your items have more crit chance. 5 more than before. That's cool. I always liked Pet Rock in these ammo comps. And now it's giving more crit than it used to. I played a lot of Silver Pet Rocks in ammo. Not necessarily all game, but it'll stay on your board until like day 6, day 7, when you start to find your real items. Piranha. Ooh. Okay, Piranha is one of the items that I wouldn't hate to see have more extreme scaling at higher tiers because of the existence of Fishing Net. Just like having some incentive to upgrade Fishing Net in order to print better Piranhas sounds cool to me. Yeah, or like keep a chum around, try to upgrade the chum. I guess then you have to upgrade it from shops to get extra Piranhas. Yeah, like there's still no reason to upgrade past silver. Your scaling has to come from other sources anyway. This is huge though. Base crit chance 20%. This is legitimately a big deal. What is... So 2 piranhas, not quite equivalent to a cutlass in damage anymore. But they crit on their own. And you can play piranhas with Pet Rock, too. Not that hard to get them to 30%. If you've got any flat scaling on them, then this 20% is going to outshine Cutlass pretty quick, too. We're definitely going to try some fishing net games. And we're probably going to lose a lot of those fishing net games. But there's going to be one fishing net game where we get improvised weaponry, and the piranhas are going to pop off, and it's going to be sick. Pistol sword... better at gold. When you use an ammo item... yeah, sure. This changes literally nothing, but okay, sure. You're still always going to need other scaling for this by the time it comes online. The earliest we expect to see a pistol sword is what, like day 7, day 8? Most of your damage is going to come from either skills buffing this, or figurehead buffing this, or... I don't even know what else. And that's going to be... just the accessibility of those things is going to be more determinative of what makes this good than the base damage on it. Pufferfish, cooldown 8 seconds. Oh no! Oh no! Well... they nerfed the defensive items too. Poor Pufferfish. That's fine. It's just not Pufferfish's patch. The same thing to Harmadillo. I would argue that it is more justified on Harmadillo than Pufferfish. Revolver! Slightly more damage. Cool. Rifle, slightly more damage. Cool. Okay, Robo. This is the one everyone's been talking about. Cooldown 8 seconds from 10 seconds. Charge adjacent items 1, 2, 3 seconds. Just a double battery on an 8-second cooldown. If you have 5 or more unique types, reduce this item's cooldown by 50%. So it's just a double battery. If you have 5 or more unique types. I don't know how hard this is. This might be completely free. This might be difficult. What do you want to charge on Vanessa? Flagship? Robot doesn't have a flagship tag, does it? What's a vehicle? Ooh. Wait. It's a vehicle. It's a vehicle! Honestly, even this. It's like haste on the battery. It's 2 types itself, so you only need 3 other tags. Ooh. Interesting. The vehicle... oh my god, even this. The vehicle skills are so good. Just being a vehicle is such a big buff to an item. And tool are all very easy. Yeah, if it means unique, that is a lot harder. Yeah, unique is not necessarily just like have different types. Yeah, it could mean you can't run other aquatics with it. That would make this a lot harder. I did not read it that way, but maybe that's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's what they mean. I mean, I think it's pretty free if it's not. There's no way it's that finicky. I have the opposite opinion. I feel like there's no way that it's this free. But we'll see. We'll see. Seaweed heal 25. Sure. More than one type. Yeah, I mean, it just depends how you read it. I wouldn't be surprised if it worked either way. Yeah, 5 is not a lot. 5 is practically free. You're always going to have 5. Yeah, weapon's a type, tool is a type, tech is a type. It itself has 2 types, aquatic and vehicle. Maybe it's designed around the reduced CD. Just some inconvenience put on like Captain's Wheel. Maybe. I mean, Captain's Wheel is significantly above par for other haste items. I guess this isn't good until you get it to Diamond, to be fair. But it's really good at Diamond. It's vehicle aquatic. Shiny is now, this has double crit chance bonus from +1 multicast. Deadly is your items have +10 crit chance. Okay. I guess. Just not gonna be enchanting this thing. Shark Claws. More base damage. More base damage across the board. That's cool. Better starting item now. Starts with a buff-and-a-half. Much better to buy at bronze, too. They made it fast. They made it fast! Oh my god, we're gonna rowboat some sharks. Deal 30 damage. When this gains haste, it gets double scaling at silver, slightly better scaling at gold, to the same scaling at diamond. Only on itself. Oh no, it's dog shit! What are the odds that's a typo? There's no way they nerfed Sharkrai. That's gotta be a typo. I believe that's a typo. Robo's charging it, not hasting it? Yeah, of course. But you're still speeding it up. You get the haste from other sources, and then Robo just makes the Sharkrai go quick. Shovel. Ooh. Starting Shovel's time to shine. Shoeblade gained the apparel type. Double damage. caps out at the same number. Silencer, weapon to the left. Oh, they just normalized the scaling. Fair enough. It was weird that there was this 20 jump going from gold to diamond. Whatever. Spyglass, fixed a bug with all Spyglass enchantments that read when you crit with adjacent item not working correctly. Cool. Didn't know they were bugged. Glad they are no longer bugged. Submarine. Ooh. That's a real item now, right? That's a lot of extra value on Silver Submarine. It's still not something that you want to play long term, but you'll actually buy Submarine when it's offered on day 3 now. Cool. Just talking about how good vehicles are too. Yeah, but it's still Submarine. I don't know if the vehicle tag can fix Submarine. Submarine gets better if the weapon becomes more fair weapon builds. That's true, that's true. You could argue that the defensive damage item is where you want to be. Just helps you win races. Swashbuckles, an apparel item. Cool. Switchblade itself does more damage. Sure. It's a buff. Why not? Start off now? No, it's still up. We're just going over the patch notes because we have them early. Would rather go over the patch notes now than go over the patch notes when the patch is live. Cooldown 8 seconds. Does more damage until diamond. And scales better. Time's it gonna be down? Probably like 12 hours from now. This is cool. Torpedo is one of those items that's always been kind of close to being good. But 20% speed up is a big deal. Torpedo on a rowboat? Yeah, possibly. Rowboat gets to speed up the torpedo and another aquatic item. Definitely gonna try some torpedoing. A lot of it's... I'm also interested in seeing how this is gonna play out with... Where is it? The updated drop tables to phase out bronzes sooner. Like, how early are we going to be reliably finding silver items? Are there going to be a lot more games where we start seeing these things on, like, day 2, day 3? Or is it just that golds are going to start coming in faster? I think this is low-key going to be the biggest patch note. But it depends what they do with it. Because a big problem with these silver items is that they're hard to build around because the commit point to other comps is earlier, and you'd rather just commit to a comp earlier on. Like, by the time you see Torpedo on day 4 or day 5, it's too late to consider going into, because you've already got another comp going. Trebuchet... Better at bronze, the same at diamond. We just don't upgrade Trebuchet past silver most of the time. A lot better at bronze, though. I guess that's cool. Turtle Shell now starts at gold tier. Yeah, it's really hard to tell how much this matters without knowing what the drop tables are going to be. This does naturally make it harder to find, just because the pools are bigger at gold. But yeah, I would be surprised if this is where you want to be this patch, given the damage buffs and the puffer nerf. Hey, Prismat, thanks for the raid. Welcome, everybody. No, they finally fixed it. This was such a iconic bug. They should have just... No, no! I never got to play with it! Should have just embraced it. So summary for Vanessa. Early game got a lot better. All the bronze weapon buffs make it a lot easier to add up to 300, which is kind of the most important number. Starting double barrel plus a skill already basically gets there. Any other item. Makes pushing for the level 2 and just going to a random shop a lot better when your bronzes are more reliably playable. Seeing ammo shop on day 1 is no longer a complete nightmare. A lot of these items still do something at bronze. Okay, we got Pig coming up next. Before that, though, I need to take a quick break. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. And then we still got Pig, we still got Dually, we still got skill changes. Hope you guys stick around. Poster, meaning she got more XP, fits thematically. Yeah, I actually thought it was intended. Especially since it's been the same since the beta started, I think? I feel like we've known about this since at least December, or November, even. Okay. Pygmalion item changes. Apropos Chapeau. Gained the apparel type. Cooldown 6 seconds. Everything scales. Goes up to multicast 5. Multicast 6. On a 6-second cooldown. It's kind of a lot. So what, property's tough. I don't know how easy apparel is without looking at the rest of the notes. Is tool difficult? What tools does Pig want to play? Bob makes that easy. Yeah, but do you want this on a... Oh, I guess you do want this on a Bob board. It's multicast. Okay, that's... okay. Let's read this. Let's read this. So Bob does some damage. That doesn't matter. When you buy an item, this gains that item's type. This has +1 multicast for each type it has. So there's a bit of a synergy here. It might be hard to see, but Beast of Burden gets a lot of types. And this thing benefits from having a lot of types. Another very arcane interaction that these two have is this thing attacks a bunch of times, and getting a lot of extra damage helps a lot when you're attacking a lot of times. Really hard to see, but if you really, really squint at it, there's some synergy here. There is some synergy here. Tomorrow is National Force Bob Day. It might be. I will say, Bob is still a 10-second cooldown, and Vanessa is probably really good at killing you before 10 seconds. But we'll see. Bob is actually reduced cooldown too. What are they doing? Okay. We'll see. We'll see. ATM gained the tech type. Oh, hey. +2 for Bob on the item that I want to buy anyway. This just, like, easily scales into the late game, right? Like, it's not even... How many tags are there that you can get on this? Tool, property, weapon... Why are those the only ones that come to mind? Aquatic vehicle. Can you get those on Pig? You can get those eventually. Tech, toy, apparel, 6. Friend, 7. Model ship is aquatic vehicle. Model ship's a vehicle? How did I not know that? Oh my god, it's a vehicle. I feel like I definitely should have known that. Models both since last patch. That would explain why I didn't know that. Okay. So model ship is 2 somewhat difficult tags. Oh my god. This is going to be unhinged. Okay. Interesting. Probably the first thing we're gonna try. Bob is going to be dummy strong. Unless other things are just faster. It does seem like it's very easy to have Bob just kill you when he activates. It's the cooldown. I'm under the impression that it's still 10 seconds, but if rumors in chat are correct, it might be lower. Belt gains the apparel type. Cool. Boomerang. Types. Weapon, toy. Deal some damage when you win a fight against a monster with this. Does that mean... Okay, is with this other text in the game? With this in play... Does it have to do the killing blow? I would assume not. But this does say with this in play. I mean, this ranges from unplayable to absurdly strong. Like, if you just have to have this in play for a monster fight, this thing is bonkers. You always want this. Bonsai has the same text. At the start of each fight with Crystal Bonsai. Not really. Because it says if you lose a fight with Crystal Bonsai. It's just like, what does winning and losing a fight mean in the context of a heal item? So the Teddy item? Yeah, it's just from the vault. It's an econ item. It is an econ item. This can get you cinders for your matchbox. It can get you insect wings for your bob. It can get you feathers for your bob. What size is it? Does it matter? You only have to play it versus monsters. This could be a large item and it would still be... I guess it would take a lot of bench space, which is a problem on Pig. Yeah, I don't know. I assume when you get this to, like, silver or gold, it's printing silver or gold loot items, too. And with the way a lot of upgrade scaling goes, just, like, throwing your upgrades on this probably isn't that much of a cost. That's such a bad condition. I sort of agree it would be a lame condition for it to have. But this item reads absurd if you just gotta throw it in against monsters. Like, you take fights that have insect wings to try to get the insect wings. Now you just gotta, like, keep this thing on your bench and every fight can give you an insect wing. Just a random loot item? Yes, it is a random loot item. Much like how when you take the Insect Wing fight, you don't always get an Insect Wing. Big already has a bunch of things he wants on his bench. This is better than most of them. I'd rather have this than a cash register. What's its cooldown? It doesn't matter. You only need this for monster fights. You're never playing it against players. Your other items will win the fight. It is just chilling, taking up however many spaces it takes up. Yeah, I agree that there is a cost to needing it on your bench. However, the upside is absurd. Especially if you're building around stuff like Beast of Burden or other slow things that just need insect wings and feathers to get faster. We'd guess small. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, because the numbers are going to be lower because of the payoff here. I would guess it's either a small or a medium. Booby Trap. Gained the toy type. Fixed a bug with Icy not increasing freeze duration. Icy got better. Oh no. Bootstraps. Gained the apparel type. Re-enabled after fixing enchantments. Oh boy. Caltrops are not toys. Yeah, we need to rename Caltrops. Brass Knuckles. Deal slightly more damage. Thinking Jumping Jacks. Is that what they're called? The thing that you have with bouncy balls. Just jacks, yeah, yeah. Definitely a bit of a flavor miss here. Caltrops just Legos on the ground now. When we get more cosmetics in the game, there definitely needs to be a Lego Caltrops. Cargo shorts gains the apparel type. Sure. Seems like apparel's pretty easy to get for Bob. Oh. This is a little too on the nose. A little too on the nose. I know duct tape is good on Pig, but come on. Come on. What's it doing in here? This doesn't matter at all. This is... You already didn't want to upgrade duct tape. It already gets all of its scaling from skills. This is very whatever. Flail. 8. Better at bronze and silver. Slightly better starting item. Still needs other scaling. Ganjo. Okay. So if the early game is going to be faster, that does make items like Ganjo a bit worse. Like, if you're worried about dying in 6 seconds to Vanessa, it's a lot harder to try to play a scaling build. That said, this is a huge buff to Ganjo. Now, one of the reasons that Ganjo is so scary is just because you can't do 300 damage a lot of the time, and Ganjo gives you the ability to do 300 damage over a long enough fight. Ganjo's a 4-second cooldown. I don't know. Like, obviously the numbers are a lot better, but the context around it, I think it did get a lot worse contextually. It might just be the case that early game fights aren't about stuff like this anymore. And you already kind of wanted Genjo out of play by like day 4, day 5. I don't think that this changes that at all. You might be stuck playing it with Yo-Yo a bit longer, but you're rarely going to be happy about it. I guess you'll be a little bit more happy about it now. Duct tape isn't a big item. Correct. Welcome to the stream. Gumball Machine. Gained the toy type. Cooldown 4 seconds. I have never put a Gumball Machine in play. What does it do? Oh, it just shields. Sure. Not as bad to put it in play, I guess. Jabalion Drum. Fixed several bugs with deadly Jabalion Drum. What is Jabalion Drum supposed to do? Deadly. When your enemy uses an item, your items gain plus 10% crit chance for the fight. I imagine that's not what it's supposed to do. Loop. Your small items have plus 1 or 2 value. Really? Are you doing looping again? I don't know if I hate this or not. Like, current loop is close to just not an item, but you don't really have a payoff for infinite gold anymore. Not as big of a deal. Bootstrap is back to you. Yeah. The explanation for loop versus billboard didn't make sense. Was there an explanation? Did billboard not get reverted? I mean, it's fine to have them do different things. Like, a justification could just be they want them to be different items. And that would be okay. Like, the billboard is large and it's fine. Did he... Okay, let me just clarify. This is a Giga buff. This is probably the biggest buff in the entire patch notes so far. This ability is significantly stronger than the previous ability. But, yeah. My only annoyance is... it's just so much clicking. I guess some people like that. It's just, loop is so strong. It feels like every pig run, you're trying to find a loop. You're usually going to find a loop. And then once you get the loop, the run just slows down to a glacial pace. But maybe that's just what they want Pig to be about. And if people like that, fair enough. Marbles! Gained the toy type. Fixed a bug where turbo marbles would haste the opponent's items. You know, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of feels like a flavor win. If you're throwing marbles at the opponent's items, you should get hit when they slip and fall on them. I'm just saying. Model ship. Gained the toy type. Adjacent toys have +1 multicast. It doesn't charge anymore. So... Yo-Yo can multicast. I don't know that that matters. Gives +2 to Bob. Yeah, this gives a ton of tags to Bob. It's a aquatic vehicle, which are not easy tags to get. No, Caltrops will not hit you twice. Caltrops does not activate. It's another multicast for Bob. Oh, you could just play it next to Bob? I didn't consider that. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, well, that might be worth doing. I don't know. Caltrops multi does not work. It's multicast from Glinking. Yeah, yeah. What? Let me just skim this real quick to see what else is gaining toy before I search. Maybe it wasn't already a toy. Oh. Okay, so very few things are toys, apparently. Multicast Slingshot. What's the damage on Slingshot? 15, 30, 60, 120. That is almost double barrel. Do they... They're surely changing the scaling on it, too. Probably. It's just not listed. Probably. Maybe. You can, like, put it next to marbles, put marbles next to yo-yo. And nothing's immediately coming up that seems absurd with this. This does seem cool, though. Anything that potentially gives multicast is worth thinking about a lot. Multicast is a very powerful ability. Especially in it. Is it a bronze item? No, it starts at silver. Snow Globe is strong with it, too. Yeah, possibly. It's not a... No, it's not a property. It's just filling the role of a property. Booby Trap is a toy. Does Booby Trap activate? Oh, it does. Hmm. Interesting. The 6-second cooldown is just so brutal. Other heroes have fun toys. When I searched toy here, nothing came up. I don't know if this just doesn't search tags. Where are we? Money Tree, heal 40. Sure. So it's just you're upgrading it for recon. Monocle gains the apparel type. This is the shield equal to your gold, right? Pickles, including the token Pickles, are now toys. So you can multicast Pickles. Piggy Bank, Pinata, Robes and Apparel. Silk Scarf gains apparel. Golden Silk Scarf's value gain now works on items in stash. Slingshot gains the toy type. Interesting. Snow Globe is now a toy. Freezes only mediums and smalls. Any point to apparel other than giving Bob another tag? I don't think there currently is. Matters for Rowboat too, I guess, but I imagine it's the kind of thing that's going to matter later. Stopwatch gained the apparel type. Okay, can we... I guess it is being worn. Stopwatch should be tech. Maybe. Tusk Helm is an apparel. Numbers slightly less shit, but still kind of shit. I imagine this is... They didn't change it to not shield anymore, right? And I imagine the shield would still be the same as the damage. It's a stopwatch. That's a tool. That's how I read it. But, yeah, I don't know. It does feel like more of a tool than an apparel. Is it? Oh, it is a tool. It's a tool apparel. Vending machine. Fix an issue, or sure, whatever. Vineyard, fix an issue where Vineyard's hourly value gain would reset. I'm curious, does that show up here? Sometimes the bugs will be documented in BazarDB. Beginning of each hour. Add the custom to the sell price for the fight. Sell price. Add the sell price to the heal amount. Add the custom 1 to the custom 2. Inactive while in stash. Not enabled for any tier. Huh. You're still unplayable? Yeah, I didn't even know it was bugged. I don't know what board ever wants to play this. It does not charge anymore. It is just a very slow, big heal item. You can keep it on your bench to gain value. That's the only thing that I've used it for. Unbalance the buff to Tusk Helm. Yeah, I mean, Tusk Helm is definitely buffed. It's just, you're still not that excited to put it in play. I've never been happy with the shield version since the change. Yeah, I don't think I've ever put either of them in play. Value is gained until the end of fight, so it resets. Oh, is it resetting all of the value? Every fight? Add the custom to the sell price. Until the end of the fight. Yeah, I don't know. The beginning of each hour trigger. Beginning of each hour. Add custom 0 to the sell price. Oh! Okay. Explains that one. Weights. Your weapons gain 10, 15, 20, 25, and heal items. So the same scaling increase as Ganjo. When you overheal, charge this 1 second. So it's not when you heal at max life. It's just anytime your heal goes over. This is going to be a lot better into poison and burn than it was before. It was so annoying just having like 1 poison on you when you were trying to play weights. It just bricked your charge forever. Oh, but it charges half as much now. I am curious how much extra charge you're getting with this being overheal. Up can take tag, somehow gets the core tag from combat core. You can upgrade it with diamond scrap metal to reduce cooldown. Yeah, you could theoretically do that. Might not even be that unreasonable to do that on Dually. You get it from a dig site, buy a combat core, find a scrap. Could be a funny run. It's got increased early numbers. Well, it matters a lot for its scaling into the late game. Like, it's going to fall off faster. I would think. Because eventually the weights does get to a point where most of your activations are coming from charge. I don't know. I get a link to that. Yeah. Side quest to get Bob with all the types in the game. Yeah. And Yo-Yo is now a toy. Bob Rowboats. Yeah, Rowboat's interesting. I'm not sure what I want to play with Rowboat, but double battery sure sounds like an item. Dually core changes. Armored core. Shield 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay. Just a minor buff. Pretty significant nerf at Diamond, too. Shield items to the right of this. Gain 10, 15, 20, 25 shield for the fight. That's a bigger early game buff. Armored core duct tape. Scaling goes kind of insane at bronze. The version of this comp that relies on armored core for shield scaling late game was already kind of bad. Now it's really bad. If you're trying to play force field, you're going to be even more reliant on finding the skills that make it work. I don't know how much I like that. Because even getting this to diamond, that's just not enough shield, right? I could not remember if the cooldowns got tweaked for the cores. Oh, that would also be a big deal. It's kind of funny, like they all had plus 1 second cooldown before, and they're reviewed as kind of bad. And then a 1 second cooldown change went from them being kind of bad to being really solid. Numbers in Reynad's video were bonkers. Were there different patch notes in the Reynad video? Combat core gets a pretty big nerf. Gets even more of a nerf. And even more of a nerf. Huh. This is huge. 25% nerf to combat core's cooldown. Yikes. Crit core. Like, combat core is already not that good, but that is a huge nerf to it. Crit core, 20, 30, 40, 50 damage. From 10, 20, 40, 80. I mean, you already didn't want to upgrade it. It's just plus 10 damage at bronze. Not a important buff, but it is a buff. The core. Ooh. Core does more damage now. Not a big reason to want to pick Core over the other red cores, but it's a cool consideration. You just get slightly more damage out the gate. Scale into different comps too, with Core giving the cooldown. I believe that Fiber Optics is back too, which is pretty nice for the Core as well. Just gives you more ways to make the thing that the Core is charging even faster. Ignition Core. That's a big nerf. This is even bigger than it looks. Like, it doesn't look that extreme, but with the way burn scales, it's going to be so much harder to stack burn. Deserved, but way bigger of a nerf than it looks. It's also just the regular weapon comps are going to have an easier time killing you before you get the scale up burn. Weaponized Core. Some damage. Weapons to the right of this gain damage. Is this enough to make you want to play Weaponized Core? Like, weapons to the right of Weaponized Core? It is a non-zero amount of scaling. 10 is quite a lot. Kind of. You do want the core itself to be fast, too. It depends what you're pumping. We'll see what the other changes are. Alpha Ray. More flat damage when you use the core on another ray. Your weapons gain way fucking less damage. What is the scaling? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Well, on one hand, you might not need Alpha Ray to make sure that you're outscaling the barrels. Because there are going to be fewer barrels. On the other hand, I mean, it depends on the other buffs, but it might be hard to just have enough damage. Alpha sucks now. It's definitely a lot worse. It doesn't scale into the late game. At all, probably. I could see it still being good enough for the first couple days. No, you're not upgrading it. Ugh. Yeah, and if there's fewer defenses going around, just like having a little bit of scaling on your weapon in play is okay. You still take a weapon shop day one. Yeah, just how long do you want to keep it in play is the question. Arc Blaster got cut in half. Fair enough. Fair enough. The numbers on this looked so absurd, but this kind of just like felt like where 6-second bronze items wanted to be. I didn't really have huge problems with Arc Blaster. But just like on the surface, the numbers looked crazy. They just compared to other stuff you could be playing. It seemed like whatever. Atomic Clock. No! Why? This was like the whole reason the item was cool. Is this the price we pay to get get fiber optics back? We have to lose the thing that made Atomic Clock, the thing that made fiber optics so strong? It's not 6 seconds, it's like 4.5? Yeah. And it said they may have to revert clock. This is so sad. like, I don't know. I kind of get it. It's just like, it's not like it was good in every game. So much of what made it good was it just being the only 1 second cooldown item, too. So it would just be a fast trigger to get your combos going. It's just bad now, right? Kind of too slow to do anything. Actually, it's pretty negligible. Sometimes. You could build around Atomic Clock. But a lot of the time you weren't building around Atomic Clock. It was just, you threw it in righty-tighty and it got your power drill going faster. It was never broken. Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't say that it was never broken. It was... There were boards where Atomic Clock felt busted. But it always felt like you had to work for them in a way that made it okay. If I had to point to, like, any item that I thought was, like, a perfect item, Atomic Clock might be the first one that I pointed to, after thinking about it for a while. Atomic Clock was sick. Rest in peace. Atomic Clock should not be affected by any haste, slow, charge, freeze, and CDR from skills/loot. What? Love the infinite clock combo 3 to 4 times. It's pretty hard. Yeah. The infinite clock thing is hard to get going. A lot of the time, the thing that you're doing with Atomic Clock isn't even the infinite clock. You just have like 5 ammo on it, and you're using it to... Well, now you can use it with fiber optics again, which is most of what you used it for before. You could throw it in righty-tighty to make power drill faster. You could throw enchants on it to get fast haste. You didn't really need to go infinite with it to make it worth taking up a couple slots on your board. Because a lot of the problem that Dually has is just getting anything happening faster than 3-ish seconds into the fight when your first aid activates. Or when your missiles activates. Atomic Clock was just one of the few items you could play on Dually that got you going quicker into the fight. It still is. It sure technically is. It sure technically is. Barbed wire. Deal 10 damage. When you shield... Why? Just on principle? Are we just making... just principle changes to things? But... it wasn't even good at Diamond before. Part of the numbers rework. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about having principles for principle's sake. And that's really feels like what this change is. Like, some things are allowed to be above curve. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless maybe they just want the upgrade paths to be more predictable, but... I guess we'll have to see where that goes long term. It's still not that predictable. Like, it's still doubling going from silver to gold. Never seen the Diamond Barbed Wire. I've seen Diamond Barbed Wire. I've played Diamond Barbed Wire. I've never been super happy about playing it. Blast Doors gets reverted. Thank God. This was such a silly buff. Oh, it still has extra charge, right? Is Blastoise still really good? It still charges 2 seconds. This might still be unbeatable day 1, day 2. Damage numbers went up too. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Wait. That's it? That's the change to Brick Buddy? We... Huh. Wait for the rest of the notes. Okay. Brick Buddy scaling got nerfed last patch. It got... The scaling per levels got nerfed. But it still was an early game menace. It still is an early game menace. Brick Buddy got heavy nerfs and you see the rest of the companions. Okay. Bunker. You take less damage. This reads completely unplayable to me, but I might be missing something. It's obviously really unique. Hey, Bakatoria. Thanks for the tier 1. Thanks for the year. Taking less damage means healing would be better. That's true. Bunker's a multiplicative effect. Sure. Means all shield is better. Oh, it affects your shield too. But it didn't before. Okay. Huh. Is reducing shield count as taking damage? That is a fair question. Oh. Depending on how much we trust text, the text would indicate no. But I don't know. Three slots is just so much to get some more life. Like, even on Pig, you're not usually playing Belt just to get more life. You're playing Belt because it's making your Lion Cane bigger, or it's making your Bonk Club bigger. And Belt is smaller. So it should work against Poison and Burn. Yeah, I would assume that it works against Poison and Burn. What happens if you get 2 bunkers? Who knows? It's also Duelio, which needs slots to charge its core. Yeah. I just don't know what you would want to play this with. Like, someone was saying Mamasaur, but I'd rather use the slots on making Mamasaur faster. Power Drill Infinite? How are you spending 3 slots on a bunker and going infinite with Power Drill? It wasn't even always easy to slot in Chrono Barrier. Does Bunker have cool enchants? I imagine that the enchants might just change. How to start a fight? Chance? Not really. Start a fight haste is interesting, but you're usually going to want to use your turbo on something else. Enchanted Metronome is near infinite drill. Is it? Enchanted Metronome is 40% of the way. It's a tech to counter the boulder meta. I mean, you could just play shield items. Start a fight slow, 4x for 4 seconds is pretty strong. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I don't know, you'd rather just have... You usually rather have heavy enchants on stuff with perma slowing the opponent's board. Anyway. Chris gets a principled change. Okay. I guess we just like principles. Chrono Barrier. Gain 75/100 shield from 50/100. Non-tech items have their cooldowns increased by 1 to 2 seconds. Oh. Okay. That's a big nerf. Deserved. Definitely deserved, but that is a big nerf. Chrono can be used as a knee brace. There's no way. Maybe. That's a good catch. That's a good catch. Everyone be quiet. Don't let them change it before the patch. Don't let them know. Yeah, the chorus deck. Just like Fort is knee brace. Oh, maybe they are already aware. If Fort just does it. When does patch come live? In about 12-ish hours? Is there... Hold up. I should have an actual time for this. Downtime is in 9 hours, and will take 3 hours. So about 12 hours. Barrier change is awful. Nah, I think the change is fine, but it is a nerf. Current Chrono Barrier was kind of messed up. It is reasonable to take current Chrono Barrier out and shoot it. Cybersecurity. 30, 40, 50 for each weapon or tech that you have. Resistant to the dually and it barely does anything? Not necessarily. Not every dually is going to be playing a ton of techs. Like, I'm just thinking it's for, like, railgun builds. Though, might be too awkward there with it being a long cooldown. But it's no longer... My board functions with 8 slots, so I'm going to put a Chrono Barrier on it. Which is kind of what dually feels like now. As long as your board functions minus 2 slots, it is correct to put a Chrono Barrier in play. So it just scales off of techs now, too, and it's worse at Diamond. This doesn't change anything, does it? Still just 10 seconds unplayable. Duelie's Scarf gains the apparel type. And shields a bit more. And principles. Principles. We must adhere to the principles. Fiber Optics gained the tech type. Re-enabled after fixing a bug where it was not charging correctly. Okay, so Fiber Optics Atomic Clock is no longer better. Like, it's the same as Uzi Atomic, or Uzi plus Fiber Optics now. If you can haste the Uzi, it's like the same thing. What does Duelie want to do with a Fiber Optics? Dinosaur has historically been the answer. Combat Core. Combat Core is kind of an answer. I guess if you get Fiber Optics back, it kind of makes up for this. Beast of Burden. Ooh. Ooh. Crane. You can't really play it with Crane, because you only get the scale off of one item if you try to do it with Crane. Railgun. Does it scale better than just playing more techs? Like, you're cutting 2 techs to play Uzi Fiber Optics with Railgun. Drill feeds an item. That's true. It's just what item are you feeding? Oh my god, there's so many changes. Yeah. Any item that charges drill. I mean, I guess. You could just triple down on drill. Could make getting the loop going a bit easier. Why can't it just be Mama? It can. It's just... Fire Optics is a very open-ended item. There might be something better than Mamasaur. Eye of the District? Ooh, that's a spicy one. Just random monster items. Is Thermal Lance a thing? No. Scales on small item use. Possibly. Probably not, but possibly. Okay, Clarence. Deal 20 damage. When you use a friend... 15, 20, 25. Plus 5 per level. Wait a bit better at bronze? I don't know. Maybe worth picking up. I don't know if I've ever put a Clarence on my board. Wait. Does Clarence start at silver? That'd probably be why I never put it on my board. Oh. Claw Arm. Deal 40 damage. When this gains haste, this and the weapon to the left gain 20 damage for the fight. At least it does more now. It feels like a worse ballista. Yeah. When you put it in play, it was usually a holdover. It was just worse than Monitor Lizard back when I was playing more Companion Core. And you always had Monitor Lizard, so you never really needed to put in Clarence. Word Claw might be too good. Claw Arm? Like, it's a lot of numbers. How are you getting the haste, though? Do you have to find, like, Claw Arm plus Metronome? This thing doesn't show up until Gold. Companion Core plus Claw Arm? Is that good? It means you're not hasting the weapon. You're just hasting the Claw Arm with Companion Core? Doesn't seem very good. Metronome has the same problem of you can't haste the Claw Arm and the weapon with the Metronome. Yeah, that's true. It depends how early gold starts showing up. Sounds like a worse Bell. It is different than Bell. You do get to put the damage on an arbitrary weapon. I just don't know how you're giving it haste. It feels like it has the same problem that Charging Station has, of like, it reads really strong, but you just can never really fit it on the board. There's other things that you want adjacency with. But the condition on this is even harder than Charging Station. Getting 20 damage on Flamethrower is cool if you're able to haste your whole board. But you also really want that haste on the Flamethrower. Weapon, Claw Arm, Metronome Core. Sure, but then you're like, now you're not hasting the weapon, you're just hasting the Claw Arm, which is giving you damage, but you're like giving up haste on your damage thing in order to haste your scaler. There's easier ways to get damage on your Flamethrower. Yeah, like, isn't this just much worse firepower skill? Maybe not much worse, but probably worse firepower. Cog. So if you play a Cog, your Cog effectively reads, you give a weapon plus 20 damage on a 4-second cooldown. Is that good? You're also playing an extra medium slot, so you're playing a large item that gives an item plus 20 damage. Haste with Pylon. Haste with Pylon. Well, LEDs doesn't throw as many slows around as it used to. Pylon does give a lot of haste triggers. But then what? Your board is... Your carry weapon takes up probably 2 slots. Claw Arm takes up 2 slots. Pylon takes up 3 slots. Like, your board is full with Claw Arm, carry item, Pylon, core, LEDs. I don't think that's a real board. Multiplicative stuff like cybersecurity? Am I misunderstanding cybersecurity? Cybersecurity already gains flat damage. It's a heavy enchant somewhere. Oh, does extra damage if only friend. Sure, sure. So if cybersecurity is diamond and claw arm is gold, you're getting plus 80 every time you can haste the claw arm. It doesn't anymore. Are you sure? They didn't say they removed that, right? Yeah, they just changed it so that it scales off text as well. It sounded in Raid Vid they got rid of that. Why? That wouldn't make any sense. Why would they nerf cybersecurity into the ground? So we're gonna have a vendetta against Dooley. Probably. I think the community in general has a bit of a vendetta against Dooley. He has been the best character for too long. Anyway. Cool LEDs. Fair enough. Fair enough, I guess. I thought it was kind of in a cool spot at 4 seconds. This is brutal. Ugh. Ugh. Dianosaur. Better at silver. Slightly worse at diamond. Whatever. First Aiden, cooldown 4 seconds from 3 seconds. Oh no. Oh no. He was right. First Aiden. Too strong. Too strong. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like Dooley was kind of hard carried by having items that activate at 3 seconds. I don't know what you're supposed to do to not just die without items like First Aiden. Like this too. Take Dooley carrot. Well, it's not. It's not that. It's items like Uzi too. Like you still have Uzi, but it's just so hard to get early combat actions on Dooley. And it's not like he's Pig where you have a ton of HP to make up for it. Vanessa just gets to act so much faster. Pulse Rifle got nerfed too. Yeah. I don't know. Like, Aiden went on every board, but I wouldn't say that, like, Aiden was a frustrating card to go against. It just felt like one of the things that made Dooley function. How do you play Companion Core now? Companion Core doesn't even get to play Uzi. Dooley's supposed to be the midline between Nessa and Pig. I don't know. I don't know what that really means. I think the design philosophy around Dooley has been a bit all over the place. I think initially he was the character that built into crazy engines that had the strongest late game. But last patch he was very much the opposite of that. I'm not sure where their goal is for Dooley. You can't take actions faster. Put Punker on the board. Maybe. Maybe. Like, on one hand, I sort of understand the argument that like Dooley being able to take action so fast is a big part of what made him good. It's just there was a pretty fine line there between Dooley being good because he takes fast actions and Dooley being dead because he doesn't get to take any actions before he dies. And I'm a bit worried this might go too far in the other direction. Though also maybe Fiber Optics Uzi is just what you're doing on Dooley now. I guess that's still fast. Your Nola Bar. Just a nice wholesome buff. Buff at all levels except Diamond, and I've never seen a Diamond Granola Bar. Armadillo. Cooldown to 8 seconds. That's fine. Yeah. I will say it's a bit weird at like how hard carried this item is by duct tape. I'd almost prefer to see not have the cooldown increase, but just the charge decrease. Like, you're just never putting this on your board if you don't have duct tape, right? You could still have it so that it charges in 4 activations, but just have it be more reasonable when you don't have the crazy duct tape setups. Armadillo was rather strong early game. Yeah, Armadillo duct tape was a very strong setup. Induction Aegis, cooldown 5 seconds. Huh. I mean, I would not be surprised if Induction Aegis was one of Dooley's highest win rate early game items, but I don't know how much that has to do with Induction Aegis versus you're only ever buying this when you're on Ignition Core, and it's the nuts on Ignition Core. Yeah, I don't know if this is just like digging a little too much into the data. Yeah, or Railgun. Like, you're putting it on your board and you have other strong stuff, which is going to pump up the numbers. And when you're not doing the other strong stuff, there's not a whole lot of reason to be putting it on your board. Okay, I take back everything I just said. Really? I don't think this is a data nerf. Or maybe it actually is. You're only playing this with Railgun? And because Railgun boards are busted early, the boards that are playing Isochoric Freezer are going to be busted. So if you're just looking at overall win rate of like Isochoric Freezer on day 3, because every board that has Isochoric Freezer on it has a Railgun, the win rate's really high. It was an okay activator. It was. I was never like excited to have it on the board. It was one of those things that just... It was one of those many Dooley items where you just need one more item to fill the board, so you buy Isochoric Freezer in the small shop, because it's the only thing there. Don't forget late game bug abuse. Yeah, this was a pretty absurd bug, too. It's funny that this would be a buff if they didn't fix this. Oh, Phantom Blitz increase all of Dooley's early items by 1 second there. Yeah, they're... Yeah. Laser pistol does slightly more damage. Also adheres to the principles. We must adhere to the principles. Mech Moles. 50, 70, 100. Okay. 50, 75, 100. The principles, of course. When this gains haste, your weapons gain some damage. When this gains haste, your shield items gain some shield. I mean, it's cool that it itself does something. It's again, just how are you getting haste on this? So this patch, this current patch, it feels like the big problem that Duelie has to solve, and if you can solve the problem, your run is going to go very well, is how do you get haste? If you hit the turbo enchant on 10, you're usually just winning out from there. If you can find your metronome, most boards are able to make use of that to get enough haste to win out from there. But, like, this is something that only does anything when you already have the haste solved. Yeah, Companion Core has a whole set of other problems, but Companion Core is technically a solution for haste. You can play Pylon instead of Core. You can. Then you need a slow enchant. Where are you getting slows from? Like, if you're cutting Core, you're losing LEDs, which I guess isn't as big of a deal as it used to be, but where are the slows coming from? Solar Farm playable? Maybe. You have to balance, they added decimals to cooldowns. You lose a lot of elegance that way. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, those are big numbers if you can take advantage of them. Missiles. Cooldown 4 seconds from 3 seconds. They aren't big numbers, though. It's just worse than Alpha Ray. It depends how much you're hasting. Like, maybe it's easier to get a lot of haste on this than it is to get core activations. And it is significantly better than Alpha Ray is now. Like, you can't compare it to old Alpha Ray, because old Alpha Ray is no longer in existence. So Missiles is just Uzi now. Just literally Uzi. Same speed. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, I don't know. Another thing that's just, like, delaying the dually start. If that's the way that they want to keep dually in check, I guess that's a way to do it, but I don't know. At least Uzi is untouched. Oh, thank God. I was worried we were going to get to a patch note that had Uzi on it. Destroy an item in combat. Your dinosaurs permanently gain damage. 30, 40, up from 25, 50. Okay. Slightly less damage. I guess still worth fiber opticking. Still just as important to get this to diamond, even if it's getting less damage, because you still want to be able to destroy them down to 3 items. Surprised Mama got debuffed. I'm not. People were angry at Mama Sar. I think you can expect what gets nerfed, or at least what gets changed based on like how much people are talking about a certain thing. Like again, these aren't necessarily balance changes so much as making people do different things changes. These patches are more about shaking up the game rather than necessarily trying to find balance. Yeah, it's a pretty minor change overall too. It just slows down the clock a bit. If you're losing to your items getting destroyed and you don't have a clock, you're still going to lose to your items getting destroyed and you having no clock. Like, with how much people complained about Mamasaur, the fact that the change is this small is kind of indicative of them not being too worried about Mamasaur. Though I will say, Fiber Optics being back is a huge buff to this item. Like, way bigger of a buff than this is a nerf. Nitrogen Hammer. Deal 50 damage. Freeze one medium or small item for 1 or 2 seconds from freeze an item. When you freeze, it gains damage. Sure. Nah, patch is live in like 12 hours. Balancing too much. Okay, you'd rather do other stuff than balance. Yeah, yeah. It depends what he means. I like these patches being shakeups. I don't think changes like this are important at all. But things where just like tweaking the numbers on things that are maybe a bit above curve are fine. Does this look a little silly? Is this an item that necessarily needs to be changed? No, but it being changed does make people evaluate items differently. This being worse indirectly makes other items better, makes people incentivized to play different boards. And I feel like changes like this, or just like a quick change to all the cores, just to make people play different things is fine. I like seeing stuff like that. What's Fiber Optics again? Whenever you use your leftmost item, charge your rightmost item by 1 or 2 seconds. Where were we? Omega Ray. When you use the core or another ray, this and adjacent burn items gain 2, 3, 4 burn for the fight. What? Why? Are we... What? This is a typo, right? It just like doesn't exist at silver anymore. They're just making it gold, surely. What? We're buffing Omega Ray? I don't know anymore. This is the first change that is just baffling. I don't understand why you would do this. It's terrible now, but it's not terrible now. When you're on Ignition Core, Omega Ray is one of the things that you can play that you can like pick up on silver or gold, and it will be on your board. It's not amazing, but like you can get away with not having it. But it's pretty close to best in slot. Sometimes you just play drill. You're not always in drill. Sometimes you just don't get the enchants that make drill work, and you're stuck playing pure burn. And Omega Ray is one of the things that makes that work late game. And by late game, I mean like day 11, day 12. Burn is pretty mediocre past day 6. I never had that experience, but... the barrel nerf, it's better. Yeah, sorta. Yeah, I had a lot of just 10-0 runs where we ended up pivoting Omega Ray on Dooley. We just like didn't find either the enchants for the drill in time, or we had enough of a clock with the raise that we just stayed on Omega Ray. Just like at the very least, it's not something that needed a buff. Normally born. Ideally, you wanted to be drill. You would always have a drill in your stash. You were not always able to get the drill on your board before the run was over, though. Like, sometimes you just don't see the metronome. Or you don't get enough enchants. And the drill is too slow, and you're better off just using burn as your damage. And Omega Ray was one of the things that let you stay in burn. Sure, just for consistency's sake, I guess. I already didn't really want to put this in play. Like, we had a bunch of runs on Duelie where we were playing Omega Ray plus Beta Ray. Even this patch. Like, I feel like that package was underrated. Pulse Rifle, cooldown 5 seconds. I mean, fair. What is that, like a 1.7 second cooldown? But it starts so much later. I don't know. Yeah, it still locks out friends. Sometimes it locking out friends doesn't matter, but there definitely is the occasional game where it feels real bad to only be able to play one friend. Usually the problem is more that you have to play one friend rather than you can only play one, but especially now with Aiden being nerfed. Like, it was just so easy to play an Aiden as your only friend on any board. Now, like, what random friend do you want to play with Rifle? Is it still Aiden? There appears to be no Power Drill change. Seems most of the nerfs were around the early game setups rather than the late game setups. Which makes sense to me. It's the one item that's actually busted. I completely disagree. I feel like Duelie is way scarier early game than late game. Drill is a very good late game plan for Duelie, but like everyone has good late game plans. Where he was a power outlier was early mid game, which isn't really where Drill excels. Drill is just such a cool item too. There's so many different ways you can build it. Rocket launcher starts at bronze. 8, 12, 16, 20 damage from 10, 20, 40. Burn 2, 3, 4, 5 from 2, 4, 6. Rocket launcher doesn't require a friend, but slightly slower than pulse rifle. Alpha Ray doesn't scale as much. I just like don't want to be playing Weapon Duelie with the Alpha Ray change. I guess it's something that you can use right-handed with on Duelie. You just pick up a rocket launcher on day 1. 28 damage, multi-strike. as a way to be able to close out fights. Yo, Dooley also lost Chrono Barrier. That's a pretty big nerf too. Nerf's confusing. Is really the character starts at 4 seconds. It seems like it now. A lot of these early nerfs feel really heavy-handed, but we'll see. When you level up, get a random tech item. That's cool. Wait, not even a small tech item? Do I have to have 3 spaces open for schematics? Ugh. 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 Pain. The cool Vanessa changes? Yeah. Security camera, 50, 75, 100, 125. Sure. Can manipulate, maybe? Oh, I would just be worried that it'll not give you anything if it tries to give you a large item and you don't have space for it. But yeah. It might also work the way that you're saying. Wallace significantly better at bronze? Okay. My disguise should go based on what you have open. Does disguise work that way? I've never gotten a large item out of disguise, and I've never tried to buy disguise without at least 2 spots open. And I will usually try to have 3 spots open for disguise. Yeah, I've just never seen it give a large item in general. But, I don't know. There's a lot more small and medium items than large items. Water Cooler now starts at silver. Cooldown gets better. The cooldown gets better! Walter! Walter! And this is the same. Okay. Cool. Welding helmet shield goes up. It abides by the principles. We must abide by the principles. I didn't know it. I didn't even know the numbers were weird before. Okay. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. And then when we get back, we will finish the rest of these notes. Hope you guys stick around. Shield character dispatch. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Poison also generally got worse, which makes shielding better. Duct tape maybe back to Dooley's best item if it wasn't already. Agility boots. Gained the apparel type. Basilisk Fang. Corrected an issue. No! I only got to do this once. This was really funny with Swashbuckle. Cryo Sleeve gains the apparel type. Fixed a bug where the freeze reduction applied to enemy items as well. Dragon Breath, cooldown 8 seconds. Burn 8. When you use an adjacent item or dragon item. Wait, is dragon a tag now? +1 for the Bob! This gains 2, 3, 4 burn for the fight. Okay, hold up. I need to check something. How many tags can I expect to buy when I go to Curio? Can I easily filter this? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, Monster Jumps only is not what I thought it was. Shops tab work now? Nah, it's just shop odds. There's no... Oh wait, loot maybe? No. There's no junk tag here. Common? Ah! Okay. Kind of. Spooky. Most of these don't have tags. Here's an aquatic. Bizarre DB. Oh. Interesting. Food. Food is a tag. I guess a pretty easy tag to get when you... I mean, if you can't normally buy chocolate bars, you just get them. Loot's not an actual tag, right? Loot is a real tag? Oh my god. Wait. Okay, so the next question is what counts as a tag for Bob? I imagine it's just the ones that show up in game. I didn't know loot showed up in game. Citrus not food, coconut not fruit. Type is not tag. Don't think loot shows up in game. I didn't think loot showed up in game, but also not the kind of thing that I checked. On BazarDB, it's anything with a purple underline. A purple underline. Okay, so weapon, aquatic, loot. So stuff like small and medium, despite showing up, do not count. That makes sense. Friend, tool. So Curio is probably going to give you loot and food as far as difficult to get tags goes. So you are going to want to go to Curio. Vehicle. Is Bob already a vehicle? Model ship is usually going to be your vehicle. I guess you can skip model ship if you buy a chariot plus claw. Bob is a vehicle. Okay. Friend was in there too. Yeah, but friend's easy to get. I'm less worried about those. The medium. I just like scrolled over the dragon. This thing's just a friend. He's a... Let's see, a Salamander pup here? No. Probably not a dragon. So Dragon Whelp gained the dragon type. Cooldown goes down. Okay. Beast of Burden theory crafting. A little bit, a little bit. Goggles, gains apparel, junkyard. Oh. Well, you can get tech. Tech's already probably pretty easy, but getting tech and friend at the same time could be nice. Bunch of things gain apparel. Singularity's a tech. Teddy's a toy. When you use another toy, friend, or ammo, charge this from 1 second. I guess that works with toys. And it just has base crit chance instead of gaining crit over time. That's... Oh, that's a little disappointing. The swashbuckle synergy. It's gone. It's probably better overall, but there's like some cute stuff you could do with swashbuckle, right? Random fun fact, but Slowdive's album Pygmalion is 30 years old today, and Pig is 30 years old. Interesting. The Eclipse is a tech. New best item in the game. It is back. It is back. Do you think it changed the text on them? Do you think hammer is the same? Wretched hammer got kind of nerfed. Ooh, did they? Did they? Can I check them here? When you level up if you have at least 3 tools, upgrade an item. Oh, okay, okay. That's what I expected they were gonna do to it. That said, it's still very good. Like, even if you just get this to gold. Like, you use your level 7 upgrade on hammer, and then by the time you hit level 13, your whole board is gold. And you get to use your 13 and 16 upgrades on getting things to diamond. Yeah, yeah. And it's probably not that easy to find this before day 7. It still passes on the enchants. Yep. Oh boy. This is going to lead to some very silly looking boards. Someone is going to get a shiny hammer, and there are going to be screenshots. Someone is also going to get an icy hammer, and people are going to be real mad on Reddit. Okay, okay. How many days into the patch until someone gets an icy hammer and there is an upvoted post on Reddit of a full freeze board? How many days is that going to take? One day? I think that many games are being played that's going to happen that quick? Half a day. Wow. Okay. That's faster than I would have said. A lot faster than I would have said. Get hammered, die on purpose for enchants. Into literal profit. Think of the YouTube views. It's good that they reduced enchantment choice. Yeah. Someone playing 16 hours straight is gonna get it. I don't know, the odds are pretty bad. Shiny won't work though, because it's not a cooldown effect. What do you mean? I feel about the enchant choice change. I don't know. I'm pretty neutral on it. I like that it makes the items that only have a couple of enchants more interesting. It makes the wing tech that we learned about a couple days ago a lot more relevant. You can just like keep a bronze insect wing around, have a 50-50 shot at getting turbo on it. I like that it is specifically artist and not that it leads you to a random altar. Like, artist is at least interesting. There's nothing you can really do about a random altar to play around it. Wand is now a toy. What? You're telling me the Lich's wand is a toy. The Lich, the scariest fight in the entire game. His wand is a toy? His wand is a toy. Is his Necronomicon a toy? Is he just playing with toys over there? Isn't this a Mac item? It doesn't say here. It'll say on How Bizarre. No, it's just a monster item. It is the Lich's item. Why do they keep changing around the tags? For flavor and future use. Mamasaur was the best thing to play this patch. We found her at a reasonable time. I disagree, but it was one of the things you could do if you found Mamasaur fast. Hey, Paris. There were just so many boards that could race the average Mamasaur board. It was not easy getting Mamasaur to be much faster than like 4 seconds. And even 4 seconds often felt much too slow. I think the one time that I had success with Mamasaur, I had it hasted from the start of the fight with a diamond battery on it, and the battery was hasted. Just like every other time I tried to do anything with it, it was too slow. Most opponents that I saw with Mamasaur were just too slow. Is Teddy good now on Pig? Probably not. You'll probably still try to play it when you see it, just because you're not going to see it very much. Don't look, anytime you found her. High tier batteries and some good haze. Yeah, like high tier battery is the way that you get into it. A lot of the time that I had haste on Dually, I just felt like that was the thing that made you win anyway. You could do Mamasaur, or you could be doing anything else if you have good haste, and you're probably going to be fine. But battery was like specifically the thing that made Mamasaur function. Wrench to upgrade hammer to get the full diamond board. Skill changes. Harden Shield. When your enemy uses a weapon, your shield items... Oh, it starts at gold now? Sure, I guess. Dual Wield has replaced Mr. Moo's skill Shell Shock. If you have exactly 2 weapons, your items have plus 50% crit chance. Just feel like you stayed eating barrels, puffer, cores, ballistas. Yeah. It's just by the time I got to my late game comp on Dually, I felt like I was never losing to the puffers anyway. Like, you could just drill those boards. And if you have the haste for the Mamasaur, you often were able to drill. Or even just, like, Ignition Core stuff was fine. Waters of Infinity. You have 10, 15, 20 regen for each non-weapon item you have. That's a lot of regen. Can Pig get this? Waters of Infinity. Oh, this is the monster skill. Oh, okay. Sure. That's a lot of regen. Interesting. Interesting. What board plays exactly 2 weapons? Yeah, like Drilloozy can do it. I don't know, there's probably some boards that can throw on a second weapon if you get the skill. It does give you a reason to want to play another weapon. Force Field can, yeah. Cryo Mastery. The first 3 or 6 times you shield each fight. Freeze an item for 2 seconds. Huh. That is another very good gold free skill. The gold vendor just keeps winning. Can everyone other than Vanessa get this? Oh. Okay, I just don't know what monster skills are called. I thought this was something else. I could have swore that this was just a bad skill that no one ever picked, but it is just a monster skill that you clicked and it did nothing. Okay. Stop that. Fixed a bug at Diamond Tier, where it was only slowing for 6 milliseconds instead of 6 targets. Okay. Building Crescendo, crit scaling reduced to 3 or 6%. So Still good. Is it? I skip so many building crescendos this patch. Yeah, it's 60 activations to get your crit chance. Still good where it's good. Is it? What wants this? Builds that are going infinite? I guess you could play this with Puffer? Maybe? I feel like the problem with Crescendo... Well, yes, it is probably too good. The design of it's also just kind of shit. Like, it's a crit skill that invalidates your other crit skills. The cost used to be so low. Like, it used to be even if you were playing a slower comp, you would take the minus 50 crit chance. And even on slower comps, you would get back to your base crit after, like, 4 or 5 seconds. Now you need to be giga fast to even overcome the minus 100 crit. Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather just, like, see a full redesign of it than something like this, but... Yeah, I mean, First Strike is... First Strike buffs are scarier to me than Crescendo. Because part of the thing that makes crit scary is early combat crits just get you dead, right? Where if building Crescendo's around, you're not critting until a couple seconds into the fight at least. And while it does give you crazy reach, it's not killing you at 5 seconds. Where start of combat crits, especially on Vanessa, will just kill you in 5 seconds. Like, even on faster comps on Vanessa, you would commonly skip building Crescendo because you value the early crits. Crescendo was a nerf for Reddit that he'll go back on. I wouldn't even want to go back on it. I don't know. I think Crescendo is just a bad design. I don't know if there's numbers on Crescendo that would make me happy about it. Just like the crit skill that gets you crit, but makes all of the crit you got before it not matter. It just does too much. If Crescendo's in the game, you avoid taking Deadly Enchants with the hope you find the skill. Kind of, yeah. Like, it indirectly makes all of the other crit worse, if it's good. Or if it's bad like this, then it's just not pickable. Or, like, it's only pickable in the most degenerate of degenerate comps. Would I rather have it be good or bad, though? I would rather have a poorly designed skill be bad, and not be correct to pick. Just gave 2% on item use with no downside. You could probably have it be like 1%, and it's fine. I will I will approve that use of Brain Dead. Yeah, kinda. At the same time, though, there is oftentimes a decision around Crescendo, and people probably click it more than they should. There are the times where it's like, yeah, you have no crit. The other skill options or whatever, you have some defenses so the fights are going long, so you click on Crescendo, and it's going to give you the reach. And it just does all of your reach for the rest of the game, because full crit on your whole board is absurd. But then there's also the games where, like, you have 20% crit on everything from the start of the fight. Your activations aren't super fast, but there's like a decision of should I pick Crescendo or should I try to find crit from other sources so I can have starting crit. But it just feels bad that it invalidates all of your crit from before. Did they not change knife tricks? No. It's good on dually, no crit the whole game, then full crit. Yeah, sorta. That said, like, there are also boards on dually where it feels scuffed. Like, on Force Field, you really want starting crit. But when you're, like, looping drill, then yeah, Crescendo's pretty free. You're getting that Crescendo build up very quick. I don't know how fast Crescendo will be now, to whether you get the crit in a reasonable enough time where you want it on drill. Like, how quick does drill activate 30 times? On the average drill board. It doesn't technically invalidate. It doesn't technically invalidate. It kind of invalidates. You do get your crit going faster. It's just you still don't have the crit from the start until the Crescendo hits. Drill activates 30 times and the game is still going. You probably lost. Well, not if you're not critting and not getting any alpha ray scaling. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how quickly the setups are getting that many activations. I remember seeing a lot of like 22 activation drills, but those were usually longer fights. It does also depend if they change how drill charges, right? I wouldn't be surprised if there's an undocumented patch note that had all the power drill charges share a cooldown. Yeah, like if I was gonna do anything to drill, it would probably be that. I think drill is a really cool item. The way the ICDs work with it is not intuitive. You could always share a cooldown. No, they currently don't share a cooldown. Like if you slow and freeze at the same time, you charge for 0.4 instantly. Puffer can get very high, 40 plus activation. Yeah, that's fair. I don't even know if Puffer does want it. Like, you'd probably rather have just 20% on the Puffer from the start of fight than a building Crescendo, right? Yeah, I don't know. Crit when you poison is better. Yeah, probably. I would be interested in seeing what a building Crescendo was like that didn't have the minus crit and was just like 1% crit when you use an item, or if possible, like 0.5% crit when you use an item. It just feels like it would play better. You're getting all of this other crit. Gumballs and Eagle Charm. Yeah, Gumballs, Eagle Charm, random crit skill that you have lying around from bronzes. It's not hard to get 20 random crit on an item. If it only buffed each item rather than your whole board. Yeah, that's a way you could do it too. Just like give crit to 2 items. Have it be random each time. Like 1% crit to 2 different items. Because, like, it's not like the losing crit is particularly flavorful for a building crescendo, right? It's just about it ramping up, not being reduced and then ramping up from that reduced number. Or unintuitive complexity, such as disabling skills. Is that unintuitive complexity? Wait, I think like an item that shut down a random opponent's skill would be pretty funny. I don't know how the design would feel with so many items or so many skills just being like one-shot effects, but you need 1 more XP to level up. How does it change the level curve? Drastically. We talked about it a bit earlier. By level 16, you have like 1.5 fewer levels than you would otherwise. Possibly more if you skipped item upgrades. You no longer passively work your way up the level curve. Like, you need to be taking hard fights to be making progress on your XP, rather than just continuing to play. You're only by default getting 8 XP per day, instead of 9. It probably makes XP slightly less valuable, because leveling up doesn't give you +1 XP in addition to the other rewards. But, like, getting to level 10, still huge. XP even more aggressively. Yeah, I don't know. Like, XP is worse, but the rewards for hitting the certain breakpoints are still so good that you're probably still supposed to take XP whenever you can. Uzi plus fiber optics plus what? The only thing that I could think of is either monster items or Mamasaur. And I mean, Mamasaur is a good payoff for fiber optics. Oh, Poison Tyrant. Fixed an issue where Poison Tyrant's regen did not trigger off opponent poison. Okay. Crashing Waves. Fixed an issue where it is only triggering from small aquatics. Oh, it was working with some things. I probably could have played this more than I did. I thought it was bugged and just didn't work at all. Captain's Charge. Fixed an issue where this was not triggering. Which one? Oh. Huh. I'm a little embarrassed to not know this didn't work. Because I've picked this quite a few times this patch. Oh, it was hasting adjacents? Okay. Okay. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. So it still worked, it just didn't work on the right targets. Reinforced Steel. Fixed an issue where this triggered off opponent properties. Is that the plus damage one? Oh my god. That would be such a tilter. That was always adjacents. I think it used to be adjacents, but they changed it in the most recent patch. But I guess they just changed the text. I guess we could check here, right? Captain's charge. When any of the items are used, haste all adjacent to it. Yeah. What is this? Is this just making sure that it only activates once? And 1 to the custom 0. Oh, yeah, yeah. So this is just making sure that it just activates once, and this is the thing that hastes. This is just hasting adjacents. Veteran Octopus remembers how to use Octopus correctly, gaining 50 base damage on it. I wonder how many times they're going to buff Octopus every fight, while still having Octopus be the easiest fight in the game. That's what, 400 damage every time Octopus gets used? 400 damage every 5 seconds at level 10? That's pretty close to 0. I will say every PvE fight got harder this patch, with there being fewer levels going around. I will allow that use of Brain Dead as well. Kind of love that they keep buffing it to no end. Yeah. So who's the big winner this patch? I think Lich is the big winner. His wand is now a toy, but every player is going to be 1 level lower going into the Lich fight. Bob. Yeah. Bob's a pretty big winner, too. Definitely the first thing that we're going to try. It's crazy to me that this thing still starts at bronze. It's not like you have to buy it early for it to be good. Like, this could just be a gold item. Maybe I'm underestimating or overestimating the multi-strike here, but Bob seems crazy. Have to see how fast the fast builds are. Yeah, and how good the defenses are that you can get on Pig. How do you scale its attack? Well, you see, they also buffed this other item that has some, like, kind of hard to see synergy. They buffed Apropos Chapeau, which, if you have another tool, apparel, property, weapon, or friend, this has +1 multicast. Incidentally, Bob will have all of those tags. Additionally, this thing scales damage on items, and it turns out when you have, like, 12 multi-strike, getting an extra 70 damage is a lot of extra damage. Hyper damage not free anymore. I think it still is. You currently win the fight at 51 life, right? Langshan got +15 damage and activates 3 times. So you should be winning at 6 with an empty board. I was also concerned about that. We did the math earlier. I thought it only counted once? I don't think so. That's not how this normally works, is it? Like, if you have a flagship and an item with 2 tags, it gets +2 multicasts. It counts the tags, not the items. It says for each? Yeah, for each tag. Boiler Room Brawler, he's the winner? Okay, you're gonna have to... Oh, right. Right, Boiler Room Brawler has the nutty drops again. I completely forgot. the realistic multicast on Bob day 4. So at the really easy types, you get weapon, tool, friend, toy, apparel. Like easily 6 attacks. And that's not even counting property. Tech with ATM. I wouldn't say that's easy. Like, you can get it, but there's not a lot of things that give you tech. Toy and tool, very easy. Yeah, there's a bunch of things with those, a bunch of things with weapon. There are a lot of properties, but the properties are kind of expensive. Not a whole lot of small and medium properties. Silencers, tech. Yeah, but silencer's a Vanessa item. Am I excited about any new items? I'm excited to try out Beast of Burden. I am scared of the Vanessa item buffs. I feel like day 1 is gonna be real spooky. Bob already has weapon. Oh, yeah, it also just has a bunch of starting tags. Rowboat seems sweet. I don't know what you want to do with Rowboat, but it is basically 2 batteries. Day 1 died to Vanessa, move on. Yeah, it does seem like it. It does seem like it. Boulder? Maybe. Maybe. Railgun's still good. Railgun's probably still good. It depends how easy it is to find. Like, the problem with Railgun now isn't that Railgun's bad, it's just you don't see it in time. I think this change is going to be very impactful. And it's kind of hard to evaluate anything without knowing what the numbers on this are going to be. Like, how easy are we finding it? How much earlier are we finding gold items? Are we going to be more commonly seeing, like, full silver boards on day 2? This might have the side effect of making building around bronzes a bit harder, just because you're not going to have as many days where you see so many bronze items. Like, this makes finding power drill harder. Dooley's still fine. Dooley's early game looks like it got gutted, but it did deserve to get gutted. It's just other characters' early games got better while Dooley's early game got gutted. And I don't know that the stuff that he got late makes up for it. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Winter is truly fiery and poison enchant. They're scary now. We don't have the numbers on them, do we? Core seems crazy early. Got some good damage on it. I don't know. So enough spawns on the board, so you need to keep space open. You need to have space in the stash. It's just so that you're not clicking on the scrap on the other side of the screen. It doesn't count as buying an item anymore. It's more like a gumball. It seems like it's going to be... There's no way that it's 1-to-1. It's not possible that it's 1-to-1. That would be so unhinged. There are items designed around them being 1-to-1. And they have extreme cooldowns to make up for it. And low bases. Because our Reddit said 10%. Did they just say that with no evidence behind it, or are we speculating? Or did a dev say it? A staff said it. Okay. At 10%. Huh. I don't know. Percent looks insane in Pig. It does give you a bit of reach. Hello, Fiery Blade. Yeah, it is cool to have that option. I don't know, is it that much better than Deadly, though? It's just more possible hits that are good. Makes throwing a random enchant on it a lot better, for sure. And you are going to have more opportunities for random enchants. Fiery Bob. Yeah, you can have a Fiery Bob. It should be half the percent of venomous. I don't know, is anything else balanced that way? I don't know what the current numbers are usually like. I feel like they're usually pretty close to just being 1-to-1. With the upside of poison being that it goes through shield. Yeah, it ticks twice as fast, but does half damage to shields. Burn will kill you faster. But is easier to deck against. Bob change makes you excited. It's when they start releasing new items and heroes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm big fan of just seeing big changes like this in balance patches. There's a skill which burns you and poison, poison when burn. That might be an outlier. Yeah, like what is... If you have Pawn Shop, this is 10% versus 15%. How about other random enchants? I don't think it's ever 2-to-1. Or at least it's not usually 2-to-1. If we look at, like, Katana, 2 versus 3. Yeah, it seems like they're, like, roughly this ratio. Six to 9, yeah. Bob is dead with 10-second cooldown. I mean, unless you're thinking that every item cannot exist with a 10-second cooldown, I don't think that that's accurate. You explain the Beast of Burden change. This item has multi-strike 12. That's... That's basically what it is. And every tag. And set his cooldown, it won't be 10 seconds. We'll have to see. I'll believe it when I see it. 3-star patch or a new patch. Habazar will update the info from this patch. What? Habazar usually updates within like 6 hours of the patch. What do you mean? You do things to speed up the cooldown. Yeah, like you can play Phonograph, you can get haste. You can also just play defensively. This thing does also scale your heal and shield items. Seems like they're slow to update. Every time that I've started my stream on patch day, they've been updated for the patch already. There's occasionally been some delay with getting the fights. Like, this was sometimes out of date. but all of the items have always been updated by the start of the stream. I usually start streaming like 6 hours after the patch. Yeah. How big is this? I feel like it's pretty good. It gets a lot of damage on your Beast of Burden, and it keeps you alive to get to use your Beast of Burden. Yeah, it's a very very obscure combo. Very hard to see where the synergy would be, but there's a little bit of synergy between these two items. Nothing crazy, but a little bit. A little bit. Oh, it's a medium. Okay. So, Triple Crane Bob for max crane damage. Yes, yes. The crane. Defenses be damned. Just hit him with the industrial equipment. Okay. That was like a 3-hour patch review. I guess that'll make it to YouTube. I don't know. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.